multiple responsibility tours. Squadron commander in the fleet, squadron commander here at the Pax River. I ran a program management division, aircrew systems, and finished my career as the wing commander here, overseeing all the test squadrons at the test pilot school at Pax. Those budgets, and as a defense contractor, I managed budgets in excess of $35 million per year. So I had that budgeting experience, building a budget for contracting, and also executing taxpayer money in both the fleet and at the naval systems. Other background, I'm a graduate of Leadership Southern Maryland. I've been through both the Sheriff's Academy and the Citizens Academy here in St. Mary's County. I was a past board member of the PAX Partnership, so I have that involvement with academia, space, and industry to bring those partnerships together. So I think I have that experience in both operations and contracting and budgeting that will bring good experience to the county commissioners. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Blending our past with our future. The current county debt belongs to us, not our children. The ability to reduce the cost of government requires a strategic vision and experience. I want to thank the Republican Club for hosting here today, and I want to thank you for allowing me to share some of my thoughts. My plan is for a smaller government that is affordable. My plan is to have county government excel in doing the things that county government should do and minimize or extinguish those things that county government should not be doing. We should be doing a better job of protecting the rural culture of our community. This is the land we all love, and we want it well managed and protected for future generations. Our current county debt service is approaching $300 million, and plans for the next 4 years has it increasing by another $200 million plus. We have to take responsibility for this and not expect that our children or grandchildren are going to bear that burden. Reducing the size of county government is a very broad vision, but it starts with implementing a lean management policy and procedures, including reducing administrative costs and placing higher values on those people at the lowest level of county government who are doing the work on a day in and day out basis. I believe in open and honest government. I do not believe in executive sessions except for matters of strict warrant. I will never discuss tax policy or fiscal policy behind closed doors. It is dishonest and it is not fair to you. I will always put St. Mary's County first, and I will work for our future. For me, it's about God, family, and bluegrass. I thank you for being here today, and I look forward to discussing your concerns. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, Tommy, we'll go ahead and go first. What are your top 3 priorities for the budget, and how will you fund them without increasing taxes?
I think I just talked about 3 high priorities. You know, a lot of people, and a lot of times, especially in government, we treat budgets as simply a tool for distributing resources, distributing revenues. That's what it is. Each year, county bureaucracy comes to the commissioners, presents a budget, that says, here's how to distribute this year's 7% increase in revenues. By the way, over the last 4 years, revenues have increased on average, or spending has increased on average 7%, 6.8% to be exact. On average over 7 years. How many of you have gotten 7% increases in your incomes over the last 4 years? Or last year? The year before? The year before that? Or the year before that? Surely you got 7% increases. That's what your government's been costing you. Because they're treating budgeting as nothing more than how do we distribute additional resources? How do we distribute all this money that's coming in? When budgeting for me is a roadmap to the future. Budgeting is used to define where you want to be and where you want to go. So I do 2-year budgeting, 5-year budgeting, 10-year budgeting. And that gives us the roadmap to how to be successful in reducing spending.
Tom, what are your top 3 priorities for the county budget and how you fund them without increasing taxes?
All right, my top 3 priorities, first would be public safety. That's our first responders, our sheriff's department, state's attorney's office, and corrections. Need to be fully funded. Second top priority would be the Board of Education to ensure that our students excel in their academic excellence. And third priority would be trying to preserve that rural character through smart growth. Make sure we have the adequate infrastructure before we improve that growth. In order to do that, we have to control spending. So we have to find those spending areas where we can make those, not necessarily cuts, but unnecessary spending, which will keep the tax rate where it is.
Okay, and Tom, you'll go first on this question. This question will be for both of you. What is your position in regards to the excise tax in the town of Leonardtown?
Am I first?
No.
No,
This goes first.
Well, any tax is a bad tax in my mind, so I would say, that excise tax for Leonardtown would be a no. They have their own tax structure, as I understand it. I'm obviously not in the county government position there, but I would say no.
Well, I appreciate that because that's a change of position from where you were 2 days ago. But it's great. I'm glad you came around. I'm glad you understand. Do you know that throughout both, and you guys, I'm not going to give you a civics lesson. You know Leonardtown's a separate jurisdiction. You know throughout the state of Maryland, generally municipalities who provide services to those citizens in that municipality do not pay 100% of the county tax rate. In fact, in Southern Maryland, La Plata residents pay 82% of the county tax rate. In Chesapeake Beach and North Beach, 2 municipalities in Calvert, the residents of those 2 communities pay only 65% of the county tax rate. Why? Because in Leonardtown, the Leonardtown residents pay 100% of the county tax rate. Even though they don't use county legal services, they don't use county planning and zoning, they don't use county's administrative services, they don't use county legal, they don't use any of those services, they don't use county public works. When it snows, St. Mary's County does not remove snow from Leonardtown, but the residents of Leonardtown are paying to have it removed. They're paying twice. The excise tax is a scam. They're taking the money. Look at all the growth that just happened in Charlotte Hall. And show me where a single excise tax dollar went back into Charlotte Hall to improve that community.
Thank you, Tommy. All right, new question. But Tommy, McKay, you first. Is it possible to lower taxes in St. Mary's County? If so, how would you do it?
Thank you for that question. I appreciate it. So again, it's a basic policy, okay? And this year, at county government, increased spending by 5%. By 5%. Isn't that fair? Is that reasonable? Had we increased spending by 5%, we would have had $13 million to give back to you in tax cuts. Had we increased spending by 3%, 3% would have been $13 million, and we increased spending by 5%, it would have been $8 million to come back to you. So what you do is you lay out long-term budgets. You make sure that you've put into that budget the roadmap of where you want to go in terms of spending. You make sure that every county employee and every county agency understands the roadmap. You make sure that they know by year 3, we're expecting economic development to have in their budget request a 2.5% increase. That's all. That's what we're expecting in year 3. It's reasonable, it's fair, manage your department correctly. And if you can't manage your department correctly, maybe we have the wrong economic development director. And that point, when I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the
I
question?
can. Is it possible to lower taxes in St. Mary's County? And if so, how would you do it?
Well, first of all, you have to control your spending. That comes from, an adequate budget build that you're building up from the zero-based budget, and it's also the execution of that plan. We have to get away from the mindset of, if I don't spend it all this year, I won't get it next year. You need to find those areas where you can control that spending, decrease that spending, and find that wasteful spending in order to, so that you can lower the tax rate there.
All right. Tom Phelan, first for you. Talk to us about your growth strategy for the county.
Well, before any growth, you have to have, an adequate planning for the infrastructure. I think we need to maintain our rural character as best we can. Without that, planning for the infrastructure, you're not going to be able to, maintain and afford any of that growth.
So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we have town center and village center master plans in place. We currently have 2 large development districts in St. Mary's County, the Lexington Park and the Leonardtown. I believe the Lexington Park Development District should be split into 2. I believe it should be a Lexington Park Development District that primarily focuses on the core of Lexington Park. And I believe the Innovation District, which is around the California area, should be a second development district. So that because those 2 areas look nothing alike. They look nothing alike. And they should be managed individually. And we need to bring some the growth back into Lexington Park. Okay? And I think that having development districts and having town center and village center master plans allow us the ability to do what we could have done in Charlotte Hall, and that is use the adequate public facilities ordinance to make sure that roads like Old Charlotte Hall Road was connected to Route 6 during this big development spur that we had by corporations outside of our county. Instead, we use the excise tax. And oh, by the way, so Royal Farms, they pay $24,000 on an excise tax. But if your neighborhood ace wants to build a hardware store, they're going to pay $150,000 in excise tax. How is that fair?
Thank you. Okay, just changing a little bit. Let's talk about schools. So coming in favor for you. How should the county balance funding for the schools with accountability for results?
Accountability is the key word. That is the word, that is the absolute key word. But it starts with communications. It really does. It starts with working with the school board, working with the school administration, And it starts with working together in terms of low visibility zone breakfasts at 7 in the morning. And by the way, no, Commissioner Ostro, you're not the only commissioner who's ever visited every school in the county. There have been others, and I know that for a fact, including myself. It really does start with communication and working together and building a trust and building belief that the focus of education has to be in the classroom. You know, I want our schools, and I don't have any reason to believe they can't be, I want our schools to be the best performing schools in the state of Maryland. In fact, I want them to be the best performing schools in the country, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
And why can't we? Why can we do this work, amazing work we're doing at Pax River, and we can't have the best schools? Tell me why. We can, and we have to get to work at doing it. Thank you.
Okay, do you need the question again?
No, I think I got it.
Okay, cool.
I think it's been shown that, funding levels and student performance are not tied together. So but we need to adequately fund the Board of Education. I think the Board of County Commissioners did that this year. What I would do is form those relationships with the Board of Education and have that constant communication between the county commissioners and the board to ensure that those priorities are met. We get the quality teachers, because it all comes down to the students and providing them a quality education so we can improve their academic performance in the long run.
Okay, Tom Phelan, what are your top priorities for public safety? And how will you ensure law enforcement and emergency services have the resources they need?
So again, it comes down to, the Sheriff's Department, Corrections Department, State's Attorneys, and Emergency Services coming to the Board of Commissioners with a detailed plan and their budget that can be scrutinized, answer the hard questions, and so we can adequately fund them for their needs. Certainly the Sheriff's Department has, in the past, had multiple vacancies. They've corrected that through, increased salaries, and also, their recruitment, retention is on the rise, and that is, the priority for the public safety area. The piece that is sometimes missing is in the court system and in the state's attorney's office that has to be, so we can, when the sheriff's office does their job, the state's attorney's office can do their job, get the corrections department on board as well, and do that. So thank you.
Yeah, you do. My worthy opponent does make a great point there. You have the law enforcement and public safety is a vertically integrated process, and that vertical integration is a pipeline from the beginning to the end. And when the beginning is is getting all the funding, and the middle and the end is lacking in the sufficient resources to handle the volume of work that's coming from the beginning. It's like a 12-inch water line feeding a community, and right before it gets to the community, the water line drops down to a 4-inch water line. You know how much water you're going to get? You're going to get 4 inches of water. Okay? And you're going to be lacking water, and we're lacking public safety because our vertical integration of our public safety system does not consider all facets. Therefore, we're getting a lot of plea deals, we're getting a lot of cases dropped. We need to put these people need to pay the punishment, pay the price for their crimes. We don't need to be doing plea deals. So it's very important. Also, we don't get a lot of law enforcement out of building big, beautiful buildings. Okay, so I would rather focus our money into the lower end of our police force, the guys on the street who are doing the work. And if they can't, if the sheriff, I love him to death, if they can't provide public safety in our community, then we'll find other ways, we can find other ways. We're going to get it done. Trust me. Thank you.
All right, Tommy, we'll start with you. Can you give us your position on data centers, and would you encourage them to come to the county, or what? Let's talk data centers.
Well, data centers, first, everyone in the world wants a data center, And then other places it's hail. So it's really a mixed bag. Northern Virginia, some areas there have done very, very well financially. They're helping to fund their schools, they're helping to fund their infrastructure. It's a very high tax yielding proposition at a very low cost to the community with one exception, and that is power. Okay, power is the key. And it really, I am for data centers if they're self-sustaining. I think data centers need to be self-sustaining. I do not believe, in fact, I believe they not only need to be self-sustaining, but I believe that they need to distribute 20% of their generating power to the grid, back to us. Okay? I think that's part of a good deal that we could put together to really have data centers to be a serious conversation in our community. I'm not for them if it doesn't benefit our community in ways from top to bottom. Many, many times we make decisions without thinking about outcomes in the future. And really, this is the one we need to slow walk. We need to make sure that we have thought about outcomes in the future in every single detail. And I do believe that it is a possibility that they could provide some additional revenue for St. Mary's County. Thank you.
Well, the short answer is no. You have to have that detailed planning, as Tommy said, you know, to look at all the implications of a data center. You know, I think there's too many negative aspects for these data centers, especially in a rural county like this. So, again, my short answer is no.
All right, now we have closing comments, and I believe, Tommy, you're first.
Churchill said, politics is much like war and just as dangerous. He said, but in war, you can only be killed once. In politics, you get killed many times. I want to be your county commissioner. I want to represent you at the commissioner table for the next 4 years. And I would like for your vote and your support. I played senior softball with a team that most of the guys are 65 years or older. Our home field is Baggett Park up in Oakville. Last year, 2 years ago, the county come to us and said, okay, to play on the field now, you guys are going to have to start paying $40 a game. Okay? Then last year, the county came to us and said, now, we're going to also charge you, in addition to that, we're going to charge you to practice on the fields. And then this year, county government came to us and said, oh, by the way, in addition to all that, you have to pay for insurance. It's now costing these guys over $600 a year to play on a county softball field. These guys have lived in this county their entire life. They've paid taxes their entire life. Our county government, St. Mary's County government, taxes their Social Security at one of the highest tax rates in the state of Maryland. Their property tax feels like a second mortgage. Okay, this is the county we are, and we can change it. We can change it. I ask you to join with me in creating a new vision and a new path forward for St. Mary's County, one that you and your family will be proud of. Thank you.
All right, thanks again from the Republican Club for inviting us here today. I've spent my adult life serving this country and managing complex challenges. 26 years in the Navy, mission focus, leadership, and accountability in multiple arenas. 20 years as a defense contractor, budgeting and operations experience. I'm running to bring that same discipline and accountability to our county government. Public safety and education of our youth is the key to our county's future success. So we must take control of our spending, and I will focus on disciplined budgeting and smart growth that protects our rural character. I'm not a career politician. I'll ask tough questions and make decisions based on what's best for this county. Vote for me if you want representation that has leadership experience, responsible spending, and a county government that works for you. Thank you very much.